Elizabeth Warren. She is, of course, the person who pushed for the creation of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It was her idea in the first place. It was born out of an editorial she wrote back in 2007. And she'd been championing it all along. Everybody assumed as soon as it was created that obviously Elizabeth Warren would be the head of it. Well, not so obvious to the banks who don't like her. She's a pain in their ass. She wants to regulate them. She wants to make sure they don't take crazy risks or rip you off or rob you. Can't have it. Can't have it. So over the last several days, we've been having a discussion of whether it's going to be Elizabeth Warren or someone else. For example, one of the candidates, who everybody says is a wonderful consumer watchdog, is the right-hand man of Tim Geithner at the Treasury Department. Yeah. No. I'm sure he's going to be fantastic. They say, no, Jake, you don't understand. He has such great credentials. He knows how to work the system. And he's already buddies with everybody in the system, so he'll be able to get change quicker. How many times have I heard that before, right? No, I have no interest. The only person I have an interest in is Elizabeth Warren. Now, they said, oh, but she's unconfirmable. Oh, no, of course, the administration would love to have her, and the Democrats would love to have her, but the Republicans will filibuster her, and we can't confirm her. Well, come to find out today that as the law is written, they don't need to confirm her. All Obama has to do is say, Elizabeth Warren is the new head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and it's done. Then he could go and confirm her at his leisure. He could do it many months from now, he could do it years from now, but she would establish the base of that bureau, and she would hire all the people who would be tough regulators. So when Geithner or any of the Democrats tell you on television today, oh no, we can't do it, they are lying. No, there's no ambiguity here. They're lying. They can do it. They don't want to do it, right? So why don't they want to do it? Well, I sent this out over Twitter. A guy by the name of John Talbot wrote a great article about this. And he explains it's because, and he's so right. I mean, as I was reading it, I was like, yes, that's of course. We've talked about this on the show before. What Geithner and Summers decided to do was they made a gamble that if they just pump in a lot of money to the banks, eventually the economy will recover and that the banks will be able to pay off all of their toxic assets because of the improved economy. Now, one way to look at that is it's a cover-up. They funneled all the money to the banks and hope for the best, right? And that's a Bob Rubin strategy, and we've talked about that on the show before. So how does that connect to Elizabeth Warren? That's where Talbot's article comes into play. He says it's because if Elizabeth Warren's in there, she's not going to let them rip off the consumers, which is exactly what they're planning to do right now. They're planning to bring back a lot of the charges that they did before. Oh, you need to have minimum requirements. If you don't meet the minimum, we're going to charge you X, we're going to charge you Y, we're going to charge you Z. It's in the pipeline. And they're relying on that money to keep the banks solvent because the banks still have all those toxic assets. It's a cover-up. They're still bankrupt when you look at their real money, right, and their real assets and their balance sheets. Now, if Elizabeth Warren is the regulator, she might let everybody in on that secret, and she might not let them continue to rob you. Well, that would ruin Geithner and Summers' strategy, which is hold on, just put a pretty cover on everything, and then hopefully the economy picks up, and then the banks have enough money and nobody will notice all the money we funneled to them and all the money they took from consumers. So she doesn't stand a chance. I hope to God I'm wrong. I say this how many times on air, right? And I hope it turns out, no, Obama listened to Geithner and then he listened to other people and he said, no, it's going to be Elizabeth Warren and we're going to do real regulation here. But when you look at it that way, they're not going to let her ruin the cover-up. She's honest. That's what her problem is. David Sirota wrote an article today about how she's too controversial, right? And he makes fun of it, and he's 100% right. So if you're too honest and you actually want to protect consumers, in Washington you're too controversial. If you want to suck up to the status quo and the establishment, well, hey, you're legitimate. You understand how business works, and you know a lot of the right people in Washington. Okay, now, some other good progressives, Ezra Klein goes over to the Washington Post. He writes an article. Somebody else at the Washington Post wrote an article. I got no problems with Ezra. He's a good guy. He's just totally wrong on this. Now, he'll say, look, I didn't say I was against Elizabeth Warren. And if you read the article, he says if he had it his way, he'd be for Elizabeth Warren. Now, having said that, here are some concerns that are being voiced in Washington. First of all, can she handle a large bureaucracy? Can anyone handle a large bureaucracy? What was our evidence that Tim Geithner can handle a large bureaucracy? In fact, the last time he ran one, he ran it into the ground. He has disastrous results. It's just, that's nonsense talk for, I don't want her, I'm making stuff up. Okay. The other concern is, will she be too tough on the banks? Perhaps if she regulates them too much, they won't want to lend to real consumers who need that lending. Oh, come on, we're really having that conversation? Our problem in Washington might be that we'd have a regulator that's too tough on the banks? I assume that's a joke, because that's what it looks like. No, those aren't the real problems. The real problems is they don't want her in there because she's going to work. So then Ezra asked a question that actually pissed me off, to be honest. Okay, the rest of it, okay, yada, yada, yada. And here's my opinion against it. He said, I don't know why the left seems so obsessed that it has to be her and no one else. Now, that's the same thing that they said about the public option. That's the same thing they said about the derivatives amendment. Same thing they say every time we actually want to change the system a little bit. Why are you guys getting all worked up? Okay, I mean, why is Elizabeth Warren so important? Why don't we just get someone who's going to protect the status quo and we'll call it even? No, that's the whole point. We voted for change. And every time it looks like we're going to have an inkling of change, somebody comes in and squashes it. And then goes, oh, what are you liberals all upset about? You people on the left, you make such a big deal out of this. Well, look, Elizabeth Warren has two things that make a big deal. One, like the public option, we don't think Elizabeth Warren is going to solve all the problems of the world or even all the problems of the financial industry. We never thought the public option was a cure-all. We just thought, one, it's symbolic. Are you going to go towards real change, or are you just going to protect the status quo as it is? And that is enormously important. It gives you a sense of whether Obama is actually going to give you the change that he promised.